Is Portugal still a good place to move to? For a while now, the government in Portugal has been talking about ending the NHR tax benefits for foreigners, basically doubling the taxes that foreign residents have to pay. But there's some big news from Portugal that might just flip the whole situation. António Costa, the Prime Minister of Portugal, has announced his resignation from office after the police issued an arrest warrant for his chief of staff as part of an inquiry into corruption. Following his resignation, there's a chance that we will see general elections in Portugal in 2024. It's also possible that this expiration of the NHR tax regime that everyone has been talking about won't happen by the end of this year and maybe not anytime soon. In recent years, Portugal has become a very popular destination for foreigners, and for a very good reason. It's a beautiful country with a relaxed lifestyle, an affordable cost of living, pleasant weather, and a high safety rating. But what made Portugal stand out among other countries was the NHR tax regime, which stands for non-habitual residency. And it comes with a very generous tax incentive intended to attract people from all over the world to move to Portugal. The NHR tax benefits includes exemptions and reductions on several types of income, like pensions and income that comes from foreign sources. This made Portugal a very attractive place to live for expats and retirees. According to the CEF, the Portuguese Immigration Service, almost 800,000 foreigners moved to Portugal in the last 10 years. That's 10% of the country's population. And the NHR tax benefits were probably one of the things that encouraged people to choose Portugal. Let's take as an example people who are retirees or early retirees and are looking for a place in the sun to retire to. With the NHR program, they could retire to Portugal and only be taxed 10% on their pension, which is fantastic if you compare it to what they would be taxed in other countries. At the same time, if you're a local Portuguese resident and you made over 78,000 euros a year, you would be taxed 48% on your income. And if you made just 20,000 euros a year, you would be taxed 35% on your income, which is not a small tax. But if you're a foreigner under the NHR regime in Portugal, you would pay a flat tax of 10% on your foreign income. That's a huge gap, 10% tax for foreigners and 35 to 48% tax for local Portuguese residents. And that caused many Portuguese local people to feel like they were treated as second-class citizens in their own country when it comes to tax. I totally get it that it might sting to see foreigners getting incentives to move to Portugal that the local people don't have access to. And add to that many Portuguese people are struggling financially. Portugal has one of the lowest average wages in Western Europe at around 1,000 euros a month. And when you factor in that real estate prices in Portugal have gone up 150% in the last 10 years, you begin to see why the NHR tax benefits have created so much controversy. Lisbon, for instance, has apparently become one of the most expensive cities in the European Union in terms of real estate, which is madness if you are earning the average salary here. In beautiful historic neighborhoods like Alfama, Baixa, and Chiado, investors have bought up many properties for short-term rentals, which has made it very challenging for locals trying to keep up with the real estate prices or the rental prices that tourists are willing to pay. So the locals who've lived there for generations are finding themselves being pushed out of the city and away from their communities in search of more affordable places to live. And this has a domino effect. Because of this, business owners have difficulties hiring local workers to work for them. So it's affecting people's lives in a big way. It's a tough reality for many people, so it's no wonder that people are raising their voices in response. Many people from all around the country held protests demanding to put an end to this real estate madness. So the decision to end the NHR program didn't come out of the blue. Shortly before he stepped down, the Portuguese Prime Minister announced a pause on the NHR program, mentioning concerns about how it was inflating the real estate market. Or in his own words, in an interview to CNN Portugal, the NHR program no longer makes sense and it will end in 2024. It's a biased way of inflating the housing market, which has reached unsustainable prices. The news about the termination of the NHR program come on top of the government's decision earlier this year to put an end to the golden visa, which are residency permits granted in exchange for a real estate investment. But not everyone agrees with the moves by the government. Some people believe that these actions are just a way to gain support for the upcoming elections. It's really important to understand why these programs were set up in the first place. Because the foreign residents that came to live in Portugal actually played a big role in the recovery of the economy. So let's go back a bit. The NHR program was started in 2009. During that time, there was a global financial crisis, and Portugal was one of the countries that was hit the hardest in Europe. At one point, Portugal couldn't pay its government debt without outside help. And the generous tax breaks of the NHR, along with the golden visa that gave residency permits for real estate investments, managed to attract many qualified professionals to come live in Portugal. In fact, these two programs brought in 7.2 billion euro into Portugal from foreign investments, which of course helped Portugal to get back on its feet, and it created a lot of new job opportunities. Now, the big question on everyone's mind: is Portugal still a great place to move to? Well, there's more to Portugal than just tax benefits. Personally, I don't qualify for the NHR tax benefits, but that didn't stop me from deciding to move here. Portugal is a beautiful country where you can have a peaceful, safe, and affordable life. And in my opinion, if you move to a new country, you should see yourself as a resident and be prepared to pay taxes like the locals do. And let me remind you that Portugal still offers one of the easiest and most relaxed options to immigrate to Europe with the D7 visa. It's an opportunity that might end, a door that might close in the future, so you should totally act on it while it lasts. If you want to learn more about the D7 visa, go watch my other video about how I moved to Europe and how you can do it too. I will put a link to it at the end of this video. So Portugal is still an amazing place to move to. It's ranked 7th in the world for safety in 2023, with a high level of security that other countries can only be jealous of. The Portuguese people are very calm and they have a very strong sense of community, which helps to make Portugal a welcoming and safe place to live in. So with the upcoming elections in 2024, following the Prime Minister's resignation, it looks like the changes to the NHR might be put on hold. The good news is you've still got time to take advantage of the NHR tax benefits. Luckily, today's video is sponsored by Pearls of Portugal, your partner for all things related to moving or retiring in Portugal. They've got your back every step of the way to Portugal, from sorting out visa and tax requirements to finally settling down in Portugal. They are the leading buyer's agent for international investors, whether you're looking to buy property or to rent long-term. Frederic, the founder behind Pearls of Portugal, made the move from Germany to Portugal in 2017 following his Portuguese wife. Having 14 years of experience in commercial real estate, he started the company with the goal of being more than just a service. They are your forever companion in Portugal. You can count on them for advice, negotiation, and even after-sales services like construction and utilities. So if you're ready to make the move, click on the link in the description below to apply. And here's something special for my subscribers. You get a 20% discount on both the buyer's agent and the long-term rental services. The cost of living in Portugal is still very affordable, especially when you compare it to other European countries. Prices have gone up a bit in the last 2 years since I first started visiting Portugal, but it's still more affordable than many other places. Take food, for example. Lunch at a local restaurant, you can take prato do dia, which is the dish of the day, and it comes with a generous portion of grilled fish, salad, and potatoes, all for just €10 per person. Dinner usually ranges from 20 to 30 euros, and if you're looking for a cup of coffee, it's typically around €1, but if you go out of town, it's just 75 cents. Last but not least, there's a major tax benefit that Portugal offers, which often flies under the radar when people are thinking of moving here. And this tax benefit applies to both foreigners and Portuguese local residents. In Portugal, there's no inheritance tax to worry about. Compare that to the UK, for instance, where inheritance tax can be up to 40%. A quick disclaimer, I'm not a tax expert, and I strongly recommend getting advice from a certified tax expert. I really hope that whatever changes happen in the next year will make life more affordable for the locals. And this should hopefully include the government providing affordable housing options for everyone. If you enjoyed this video, go watch my other video about an affordable tiny house in the forest. And I will see you again very soon. Take care.